Well, well, well. Well, well, well. One more time. One more time. Here we are. Here we are. Just trying to do some quick setup here and let's see what the day looks like. Try and get these systems working. Good evening, one. Good evening, all. Ponga J here, driving your channels here on Facebook and YouTube straight directly, and we're just trying to have a roundup for the day. Allow me just to check on my sound quickly and my systems here to make sure that they are all kicking. If I am audible enough, and you can see what the day looks like for tonight. Something exciting is coming up tonight, so don't go away. We'll be right here with you, running up your evening channel here, having some conversations from the greater space of Africa. From the greater space of Africa. Yeah. Chariots of Fire here. Chariots of Fire. A song that was done by, I think, Angelos, some guy from Italy, but I sat down and decided to contemporize it and put some biras in it and make sure it sounds a bit hippie with an African feel sort of thing. And yes, Mr. Patrick all the way from California, USA. Barbara, oh, my sister is on the line. It was nice to see. Hello, Sisi, how are you? Tendai Tudza and Mr. Michael Dungan, Godfrey Tindi, and well. What a Grace. Well, if you're available, Sis Grace, I can, let me see, can I add you up on the line here? Can we do some magic that we used to do? I would like to engage you on the British side. I want us to talk about Africa, vaccines and trials. Africa, vaccines and trials. So please, can you just activate your device there? Then I can actually include you on the conversation. How did we used to do this? Add live promotion video. No, sync live. Choose 100 songs. Not that. I can't remember how we used to do this. Can you just send me a request, Sis Grace? I would like to involve you on our conversation for tonight. If it is okay with you, then we can run the show together. I want us to talk about Africa, vaccines, and trials. Africa, vaccines, and trials. And I'll try and get our sister Grace all the way from London there, who is one of our partner sisters there, Watete Rasta, if she can also join us on the conversation, and we can have some extra contribution from knowledgeable people who are partners together with us on building of the African space. I can't see, where do I add, by the way? How do I do this thing now? My word. Tell me that age is catching up with me today. Let me just try and get this done nicely. There we go. I think I sent you an invite there, somewhere there. If you can accept it, then we can run from there. I've just sent you an invite in your box there. If you can accept it, I think we'll be good to go. Yeah, Africa, vaccines, Africa, corona vaccines and trials. Africa, corona vaccines and trials. Where do I add that now, Sisi? I'm struggling here. I've sent you an invite. If you can accept it on your side, it will be easier for me to my machine tells me that I've sent you an invite. Maybe just go. Yes, go some. Oh, okay. Yes, if you can accept, then we can take it from there. Africa, vaccines and trials. Africa, vaccines and trials. We're hearing all sorts of stories and rumors, news, French doctors who are intoxicated with themselves, having conversations around coming to Africa to do some trials here, whether it is for medication or it is for vaccines, we don't know. but something to that effect is brewing in the background, that the trials are going to be starting. And I just got a message this afternoon also from a video clip of the media briefing that was done here in South Africa. With all due respect to our Honorable Minister Naledi Pandor, apparently she has actually confirmed that the trials have now started. But maybe on the onset, let me put the story straight. There's a difference between vaccines and trials. So I'm still trying to get more information if they are testing the medication, or they are testing the vaccine side. But trials are already at an advanced stage, and there is actually a video clip that is making its rounds on the social media, where Ministers William Kize and Honorable Naledi Pandor have already highlighted to the country that the trials are online. So apparently there's some medication that has been approved by other countries, including maybe World Health Organizations, and the countries that have been affected, like China and Spain and Portugal and etc., and somewhere in Europe. And they have some drugs that they've been using, and some of these drugs have now made their way into South Africa, and they're already per se being tried on some of our patients here in the country. But in the backdrop of that, again, is a big scary monster that we all have been scared of. That is the coming down of the corona vaccine to the great African continent, and that being used again as a form of currency, and all other forms of unprecedented problems that we might be facing with that kind of a vaccine. So the whole idea of our conversation tonight is to try and see what sort of advice, what sort of intelligence can we put ourselves around. And if there are any professional doctors that are in the house, please don't hesitate to come through and ask for your request, that you can join in the conversation. And by being in the conversation, you can actually also give us some information, as it were, that can assist us, that we can begin to drive forward. But the problem that we are facing is rather very, very, very candid, in that in the midst of the great corona problem that we are now facing, the Western world and the Eastern world are already at an advanced stage in terms of trying to find solutions to the problems of this coronavirus. And now they are treating corona like it is a totally new, different monster that Africa cannot deal with. They are treating corona like it's a new disease that has just been discovered. It has never been here before, and we've never heard about it. And Africa as a continent, we may not be able necessarily to begin to do our own conversations in terms of finding proper, useful medication for dealing with this problem. Now, there are 2 or 3 issues that we are confronted with as we are having this conversation. My wife is standing at the door. Come through. We are live. Thousands of people are watching. What book do you look?
About personality and compatibility.
Okay. So she was looking for a book on personalities and compatibilities. I don't know. And while we are on that, we have had our own problems and diseases on the greater African continent, ranging from flus, influenzas, and many other types of problems that we've encountered in the past. Flu and bronchitis issues are not new to the continent, frankly speaking. And my greatest worry is this disease seems to be more active in the cold areas of this world. And by bringing the treatment that is from one end to the other, will it be as compatible? Will it be as useful? And secondly, trying to bring trials to African countries who are not suffering as much as the Western and the European countries and the Asian countries are. Is that a proper way of testing your drugs? Or you'd rather go to the countries that are heavily infected, like Spain, like Rome, like Portugal, like Britain, and etc.? The issue I have is rather simple. Just want to highlight my own personal concern. I think we're having a problem with Sis Grace. I'm not able to get online quickly. We'll run through until she's able to log in. So firstly, it is to begin to say to ourselves, in as much as we are desperate for solutions as Africa, but have we consulted extensively from our own medical practitioners, both in the mainstream medicine and in our African indigenous medical space, so that we can also come with our own generic medical solution to this problem. The pretext which got me infuriated, slightly angry, is the reason why the Europeans want to come and test the vaccine here in Africa. And one of the reasons that the people were putting across, the French doctor was saying, because Africa looks like they have more people here, and our women are into prostitution. They're not worried about themselves as much, so they would want to come and do the trials here, because the life of the African has not been valuable. The life of the African is not of much value to a scientist. Now, if you can look around the world, particularly even in France, where they are saying this, you have lots of pigs there, you have lots of rats, and you have lots of animals that are there. You've been doing your experiments for the greatest amount of time using these animals. And now that there's a crisis, do you want to short circuit the process of testing your drugs and testing your vaccines and testing your medication on the dogs, on the cats, on the pigs that are out there? What is it that could be very preemptive? What is the excitement about trying to test the drug on the African people? I tend to have quite a bit of reservation as far as that is concerned, for one or two reasons: that the African life is as valuable as the European life. The African life is as precious as the European life. And for whatever reason, mostly known by the colonizer, to think that they can come to the continent and do trials and do vaccines on our people, I kind of find that a bit on the other side. Yes, I know there are sick people out there who are already infected in Africa, who need medication, and whatever kind of medication is available out there, if a person is already in stress, they will accept and take that medication as part of a solution. But is this a long-term solution, or it still remains to us as short-term solutions? I tried to put some 7-point plan for you yesterday on my page, that our African Union, together with our governments, our parastatals, our private sectors, individual millionaires, universities, hospitals, and also even our own indigenous medicine section and our families, cannot be left out of such a critical conversation that will affect the lives of the greater millions of the people on the African continent. To me, as far as I'm concerned, it borders on the issues of human rights, that we cannot be sitting around as Africans always waiting for handouts from those across the oceans. Now we end up as pigs, we end up as rats in their laboratories. When they want to test something, when they want to see whether it will work or not, what is it that will drive them to think that they can experiment with the health of the African? And I must be quick to say again that our governments leave a lot to be desired. Not that I want to blame them, but for the longest amount of time, they have not taken disaster seriously and considered the African lives as of any value. Because if they had anything of that sort in nature, it will have been important when a disaster such as this strikes, that all the systems of the greater research, advanced medication, social health, and public health are taken considerably with the seriousness that it deserves, that the funds and the monies that are put in stocks, monies and funds that are put in the reserves, insurance policies of the country on disaster management, and other forms of funding that are lying around there, the lottos and the rest of them, including the monies from the public sector and private sectors in terms of sporting, should be coming together, honestly speaking, before you can even begin to tamper with the lives of the people, both on trials and on vaccines. I think it would be very much irresponsible for our governments to simply say, because it has been approved in China, let us use it also. Because the Spanish people are using it, let us use it also. But do you know that the composition, the blood composition, the temperature the disposition, the food and diet, the lifestyle of the people who are particularly African, where I'm living, is slightly different from the lives of those that are in other areas. And just to say one shoe fits all, a medicine that works there will work here, a vaccine that works there will work here. I think it would be totally irresponsible. And again, these borders that our governments have actually taken our own lives into their own hands. They are now taking full control over the lives of the people. This, for me, infringes on the human rights in the greatest violation ever. If ever we believe in human rights and we believe in consultative governments, we believe in the democratic system that we have instituted in our countries, it will be important, therefore, that when you are in a state of panic as a country, a state of panic as a family, a state of panic as a continent, you don't just run around eating everything in the name that you are hungry. You will eat poison. It will be critical from the farmers of thought perspective that correct research is done. And I would want also to insist that over and above seeking for medication, our greatest challenge right now is not only seeking for medication to deal with the issue of corona that is here, but it is to assist those who are not yet contracted corona as to how can they make their bodies and their immune system as effective, as powerful, and as resistant as possible to the challenges of corona. Here we are. We may have maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people who are now infected. You still have 54 point something million people who are not yet infected by the virus. Why would we want to move the focus altogether only to be dealing with the 0.9% people who are now infected? In as much as the virus is spreading fast and quickly, will it not be proper to actually have a system, a backup system that looks at the health of those that are not yet infected, over and above the masks and sanitization and etc.? You are not addressing the issue by telling us to put on masks. You are not addressing the issue by telling us to sanitize our hands, because the problem of corona is a target on the immune system. The correct language of a government, the correct language of the public sector and the health system must not be on masks and sanitizers. The correct message must be, how do we eat our food? What must we be drinking? And how best can we make sure that the immune systems of our body are as prepared as possible to be dealing with this coronavirus? Over and above the discussions that are going on, which I'm not yet conclusively convinced on the 5G issues that are in the air, which then compromises the immune system. How then do you create another society that has an immune system that is strong enough to deal and fight against the 5G, so that by introducing technology and while you're compromising the health of the people, how do you protect the same people whom you have compromised because of the technological issue and the business interests that are on the right? We agree, we all need technology to a level or the other. But when the technology comes at the expense of sacrificing the human lives, then I think we need to prioritize it nicely and say human beings come first, technology comes second. But in the event that you want to put your technology above human lives, the conversation must be, how do we prepare, how do we make, how do we teach, how do we train, how do we plant food, how much more food do we want to put on the shelves, which will increase and improve the virology and immunization and immunity development of the people who are now going to be facing a new challenge in terms of the 5G technology. So if you are going to be diving into the sea, for example, or you are going to be going into the space, if you are going to be going into the sea, they give you all these interesting suits, they soak you in a bathtub, they soak you in a swimming pool for a couple of weeks, so that before you get into the deep sea, I'm not talking about sea diving, I'm talking about those who are going deep into the sea. You need to prepare your body. You need to prepare your heartbeat. You need to prepare your entire system, so that when you get into the deeper waters, your body does not get a shock and it shuts down. When you're getting into the air, they put you in a vacuum balloon and they keep you turning there where the gravity is not there, so that your body acclimatizes to the ground zero space which you are flying into, or the ground which has too much pressure under the ground. So we want to understand, and I don't want to become a conspiracy theorist, whether it is true or not that the 5G causes cancer, whether it is true or not that the causes corona, or whether it is true or not that corona is manufactured in the laboratories, whether it is true or not that the American government wanted to destroy the Chinese economy, whether it is true or not that it is an experiment, that is not the issue right now. I think for me, what is critical right now is that when we know that opportunistic diseases target people who don't have a very good immune system. This goes for HIV, this goes for cancer, this goes for all diseases, including corona. My 2 cents advice will be that the language of the government, the language of the business environment, the language of the same people who are technologically and by the way, I'm still asking a question which I cannot get an answer for. Who owns 5G? Who are the business people who are owning 5G? The last time when I was doing a bit of mining, we were told that we must do an environmental study. And together with your environmental study comes with a plan which they call the resuscitation or the rehabilitation strategy, so that you begin to rehabilitate your mine the day you begin to mine. Because the dust and the debris and all the ore that you are pulling out, while you are taking the small that you want, what are you going to be doing with the rest of the rubbish that is remaining outside? If you walk around Johannesburg right now and many other cities in Africa, which have now been deserted after mining, you find piles and piles of dust. And the people have taken the gold and they've run away. But inside the strategy of mining must be a rehabilitation strategy of what do you do right now with the piles of dust that are sitting in Johannesburg. In a similar way, if we are supposed to look into the eyes of the 5G, I want to say, what is the rehabilitation strategy along the line of the 5G? So how about we start teaching people to eat this way, to live this way, to reduce sugar, eat more lemons, eat more of the garlics and the gingers. Make sure that we actually improve the immune system so that by the time you introduce your 5G, it can actually find the bodies of the people who are being targeted by the technology, already equipped, already soaked in the water, already swimming in the ground zero gravity free sort of environment, so that we can be looking into the eyes of the problem. Right now, all of us on a panic button. We are panicking not because half of the world's population is in trouble. It's not even 1%. It's not even 2%. It's 0.0001% that is affected by the coronavirus. Now, the question is, while all of us are focusing on this small little percentage, what are we doing with the 7 billion people who are still healthy, who have not yet been affected by this problem? And I think that the focus of the world is slightly confused right there, that the real information must be going to people who are not yet infected by the coronavirus, strategies of improving their bodies, strategies of living long, strategies of being healthy. For me, that's where the conversation must be. And as an African activist, I want to put it outside there and put it loud and clear. Let us as African dig our heels, number one, in not accepting the issues of the vaccines until correct research has been done on mother ground, also on our own ground. Our own African doctors also, whether they're legitimate or not, let's leave that for another day. Until our doctors, until our governments also have shown an interest in putting our own people to be looking into these vaccines. We went through many trials over syphilis, over SARS, over Ebola. We have read stories of genetic poisoning and genetic modification. We have heard stories of the problems that happen when some of these drugs go wrong. And our sisters went to town looking dark like me, our aunties. When they came back, they were lighter and looking like yellow bones, only to discover that the ambi that they were using had mercury inside it. I've said this in the past. Now, what do you do with the damage that you have caused by experimenting cosmetics on the people? It comes back to number one, that when you are beginning to do and tamper around with human immune systems, tampering around with people's lives, we cannot just be sitting around here as Africans and say, well, let's wait for them to do the experiment. When they are done, we're going to accept the outcomes of that. Firstly, we are going to be digging our heels in the ground as Africans and say, we will not take it lightly when the trials are happening on ground. We will not take it lightly when vaccinations are being tested on the people without a correct teaching around it. We will not take it lightly when the information we are receiving is wrong, that we must protect ourselves from the coronavirus. But no one is teaching us how to eat healthily, It's high time. I can make an announcement right here. It's high time that all the junk food shops in Africa must be closed. Yes, it will impact. It will impact on employment. We cannot always be talking unemployment, and the employment of 5 people is killing 10,000 people. And I'm saying this loudly, even for our president, who is running the highest junk food shop in Africa, McDonald's. That in as much as we are talking about the health of the people, but when the powers that be are sitting and enjoying money which is made from junk foods, and now we know that junk foods compromise the health and the immune system of the community. How can we be sitting around, brushing a problem when we are looking the problem in the eye? The problem of Africa right now is the quality of food we're eating. Our problem, the quality of water we are drinking. Our problem, the quality of air that we are breathing. Our problem, the types of medicines that we are putting inside our bodies. Many of them are synthetic. By synthetic, I mean they're plastics. And because they are plastic, our bodies cannot fully digest these things. They end up as toxins in our livers, toxins in our kidneys, and creating other problems altogether. So why can't we just be frank for once and say the concept of junk foods must go through the window? The concept of plastic medicines, these generic medicines, must go through the window. Why can't we start talking of organic medicine? Number one. So I want to just challenge everybody and say, don't just run to the shop and get your medicines at random. I have a headache, I'll have tablets. I have a stomach problem, I'll have tablets. Slow down. By putting too many drugs into your system, you're actually compromising the health of your own body. Sometimes the body must be allowed to fight with the problem at the best way it can. You start sleeping properly, you start eating properly, you start drinking properly, stop up some certain habits, and allow your body a time that it can heal itself. It can heal itself. We are in a hurry to go back to work. We're in a hurry to have more sex. We're in a hurry to run around and do other things. Hence, we take more tablets. Take tablets to stop bleeding and stop menstrual periods. Take tablets to stop the headache. A headache is not a disease. A headache is just a signal that there's a problem somewhere in the body. Instead of you dealing with the problem, you'd rather have a tablet that stops the headache. It's almost like, okay, this house is too dark, and this house is too dark. We want to eat bananas, but we discover the bananas are rotten. So let's just switch off the lights so that we can enjoy the bananas in the dark. It does not make the bananas healthy. By stopping the signal in your mind, you are not treating the problem in your body. And let me say it according to Dr. Selby. The greatest poison of our body is nothing else but mucus. Mucus, this that goes through our nose, mucus that runs the whole body. And because our air is polluted, our mucus is actually acidic. And if you want to learn medicine, learn how to balance your pH between alkalinity and acidity. When your body is more acidic, it is prone to diseases. When your body is more alkaline, it actually fights against diseases. Hence, all the bitter foods, your herbs, your garlics, your gingers, your lemons, all the things that don't taste nicely, they're actually nice for the blood itself. And all the stuff that tastes sweet, if it must be sweet, let it be organic and let it be natural, so that you don't compromise the immune system of your body. So the language must move away from just protection, sanitizers, and masks. We need to start teaching and learning correct lifestyle change. And one of the flags I'm raising up right now, the closure of junk food shops in the entire continent of Africa. We don't need junk food. And not only don't we need junk food, we need our organic foods that are not genetically modified. We need seeds that are original. We need clean water. We need clean air. Because if the African can be given these things back to himself, he is able to start dealing with the problems of the viruses that are out in the atmosphere. We grew up eating dust. We grew up with cow dung in our hands. We grew up eating rotten foods. And did we get sick? That's why we are still healthy the way we are. So firstly, we are not going to be allowing Africa to become a trial junkyard of Western medication. And secondly, we are going to be challenging our indigenous medicine people to say, come forward, bring up what you have, pattern it in terms of your IPs, but we need the involvement of organic medicines. Organic medicines. It already goes back to what I already said. If you have not tried it, try it tonight. Take some Vicks, take some camphor, take some mint, take some guava leaves, take some eucalyptus leaves. If you can find all of them, hallelujah. If you can't find whatever you find, put it in a big dish of boiling water, put a blanket over yourself and smoke the thing out. Eat healthily. Clean up your body. Steam your body. And because alkalinity and acidity determines our health, try and eat as much as possible. Drink as much as possible. The substances that assist you to have a good alkaline body. But as far as the coronavirus is concerned, we should start focusing on the people that are not yet infected and how they can improve their immune systems and how they can live better lives and healthier lives. Our governments cannot constantly be selling us for some deals in Europe and some deals and putting monies in Cayman Islands and Virgin Islands and Mauritius in the name that they are now presidents and they are ministers. I think serious consultations need to come to place here so that we can begin to have a serious conversation. We know many of them as politicians are already in bed with the enemy. So even what we are saying here will not make sense because they already signed deals, profitable deals of who will be shipping those tablets into the country and who will make money out of the sickness of our own people. So firstly, do not hurry to be drinking tablets, good people. Start living healthily. Reduce your alcohol intake. Reduce on illicit sex on the street. Reduce on your fuzzy drinks and your acid drinks. Reduce on your cakes. Reduce on your sweets. And please live healthily. Drink lots of water. Exercise. Sit on the sun for about 4, 5, 20 minutes per day. Get enough vitamin D into your system. Eat lots of lemons, vitamin C, vitamin A, B, and C. Literally, it's A, B, C of corona. A, B, C. Do your own research. See what you can get from a vitamin A, what you can eat on vitamin B, vitamin C, and vitamin D. Fortunate enough in Africa, vitamin B is for D is for free. And while we are right now on quarantine, please go outside and get yourself some sun bathing. Enough vitamin D into your system activates many other things above just getting your skin tinted into this beautiful African color. That's what I had for you for tonight. That was as far as vaccine is concerned. Our concern must be healthful living for all, healthful living for all, healthful drinking for all, healthful drinking for all, healthful air, healthy air for all, healthy air for all. And until our systems have been acclimatized to healthy bacteria, healthy viruses that are found in rotten milk, that are found in cow dung, that are found in legumes, that are found in mradzwa, that pap that sleeps overnight, that are found in most of our foods, fermented foods and rotten foods that Africans used to eat. Those foods are not dangerous at all. They actually, when they are taken into the body, they activate the immune system to start fighting itself. For example, I don't suffer malaria at all because I was born in the malaria area. I was beaten by enough malaria. I am malaria myself. Same thing the children who are born in Binga, where there is sleeping sickness from tsetse flies and mosquitoes also. Those things no longer affect them because the insects have beaten them. The body has built immune systems around them and they're no longer sick from it. So maybe we should allow coronavirus to take its rampage on us and let us continuously allow the body together with other diseases to be dealt with the body. There is no one who heals the body. The body heals itself. The body heals itself. You must just put enough substances that activate the immune system so that your body can begin to heal itself. So do not panic, good people. The good news is your health is in your hands. Without good health, even the richest man is poor. Go back to basics. Go back to basics. Open up your windows in the morning. When the sun is out, take out your blankets and put them on the sun. Yes, put them on the sun. Don't cover the bacteria that you were sleeping on last night. Put your blankets on the sun. Let the sun burn them and burn the bacteria away. Drink lots of water. Rest enough. Get fresh air. Sanitize your environment. Wash your hands. Protect yourself. But as Africans, let us be very vigilant that we will not be taken again for a ride and an experiment over the vaccines and the medicines that are coming from the West. The panic of the West, must not be the panic of Africa. I want to tell you even now, more Europeans will die from corona than Africans. I'm not saying it won't affect us, but those Africans who are keeping constantly healthy in terms of their lifestyles, there is nothing to fear about corona. Just go back to basics. In Shona, we don't eat our sadza before we wash our hands. We do not need the United Nations and World Health Organization to teach us how to wash our hands. We know in our culture, we wash our hands. And our morovoras and daughters-in-laws and wives must bring water first to wash our hands before we start eating, which is a tradition. And now you come around because you are living in town. No, we no more wash our hands. Can I please have a wet rag? Let me just wipe my hands. Then I can eat. Hey, you'll be wiping your hands with the corona here. Go back to basics. Wash your hands. Clean up yourselves and be healthy all the time. That's all I had for you for tonight. Corona, vaccinations, and trials. Be safe until we meet again tomorrow. Maybe I must actually run an evening show for you guys on the other platform here. And while we are still alive and keeping ourselves away from trouble during these times of corona, your driver Maponga J, live from Johannesburg, discussing African politics, African science, African medicines, African music, art, and everything else between. The whole idea is to keep our African people abreast on African issues and arising that consciousness amongst our people. For too long, we've become beggars where we must be givers. Let us find our solutions within ourselves. Until we see you again, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening. As I'm signing off, we're playing the song Chariots of Fire. I hear chariots of fire in the air. Enjoy yourselves and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. Share the video, share with the video with as many people as possible. Sister Grace, I'm sorry I could not get you online. I'll try some magic after this and see if I can get you back online. I see we've had actually thousands of people who have been listening together with us, together with a live audience here of more than 300 people plus. May you have yourself wonderful evening. Izonguro. 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 Izonguro.